Hello, hello. Welcome to episode 65 of the Lorethrough. Don't worry, I have my audio channel turned on, so this will be done live and organically. We find ourselves south of the smoldering church today because I wasn't as attentive as I should have been earlier. So all along this grand highway that we see, even reaching deep into Liurnia, we have this cobbled road. Partially cobbled, worn away with time. And I just walked along it. I didn't think much of it. But if you take a closer look, we see this symbol here. This 4 rings intertwining, surrounded by a kind of rope knotting pattern, right? And it's very reminiscent of the Elden Ring, but whenever we've seen the Elden Ring is primarily 3 circles intertwined with whatever little additions you care to have on it, depending on which era of faith is taking place, whether it be the Crucible era or perhaps the Golden Order fundamentalists or what have you. But this is a road primarily used by Godfrey, at least as far as we can tell with the commemorative stone sword monuments. They seem to be a part of that great empire, the Royal Lanedale Capital's empire, Queen Marika's empire. Yet this rune looks very, very different. Why does it look different? It's a tough question. We could try to extrapolate. It's a little hard for me to articulate why, but this seems to be another era of the Elden Ring, and it seems to change. Now, thanks to Godric's rune and future runes that we will find, we see that the Great Runes are pieces of the Elden Ring, and so this might have been an earlier era of the Elden Ring. Whose era? Hard to say. I want to say it's Lord Godfrey's, right? But we also have the Crucible era Elden Ring, which looks wild but is 3 intertwining rings. Now, you could chalk this up to just a slight error on whoever was modeling these, but it feels a little more deliberate than that. So perhaps at one point in time, maybe even right before Godfrey became Elden Lord, perhaps this was the Elden Ring. Makes you wonder, has it been shattered and reformed more than once? Are we, in our era of reforming the Elden Ring, only going to have 3 rings? Or are we going to have 2 rings? Is some poor fellow down the line going to be stuck with a single circle? It seems that, and we're going to learn more about that because, well, at a far later date. But I just thought it was neat to point out. So let your speculation abound. I'll be thinking about it, trying to figure out why that is. And we have another thing to look at during our field trip of catching up. And we're going to the Divine Tower of Caelid basement, where I have many poor memories of me playing very badly last time. And here we will be having a good time with this fellow. Oh, shucks. There we go. Alright. So, that shouldn't have been as difficult as it was. So, throughout the Divine Tower, we've seen this very faded etchings, intricately carved stoneworks nonetheless. These torches, right? These very nice torches. It's almost like a sconce. Maybe it is. I don't know. I'm bad at words when it comes to the different words for torches, braziers, sconces. I should really get them all straight, but still intricately carved, embedded in the wall. Not depicting anything in particular as far as I can tell other than flowing patterns and occasionally maybe flora life, right? But then when we get in this room in particular, that's when the story changes a little bit. Suddenly we go from these intricately carved stoneworks that look like they were grown they were formed by solid stone and then carved to suddenly brickwork. I should have noticed these earlier. This is a glaring if I was paying more attention, but I was having a bad time. And, well, we do learn things during these episodes. Sometimes I'm learning things on the go, so you'll have to forgive me, dear viewer. But here we have brickwork. And this isn't like the brickwork that we see on the Sainton Bridge, the Saints Bridge stratum, those people, the Saint culture, right? They erected the great bridge that goes to the first divine tower we've really gone to, right? They have torches like this, or they have torches kind of like this, but not close enough to link them, right? And those torch pulls or whatever pillars, they're embedded. They were obviously constructed as a part of the Great Bridge, right? This divine tower doesn't have a Great Bridge, and it instead has this. And I've heard people refer to this rune of symbols down the middle as the shish kebab rune. We might use that term for now just because it's so long and narrow. And it looks like it's got pieces of meat on a stick, just about. But this definitely seems indicative of somebody coming in here and repurposing the basement of the Divine Tower of Caelid, right? Now, who would want to do that? Well, we will see this symbol later on, and I hope to point it out when it shows up. However, we have a pretty good culprit in mind when it comes to who would have set up these torches and repurposed it. Because at the end of this place, we see a black monk, a black fire monk. We see a Godskin apostle. Sorry, there's two variants that I don't want to get their names wrong. And then at the very end here, we find the sword, right? The, what's it called? It's the Glomide Queen's sword, but it has a different name. I'm going to pull it out. I got my inventory already, and I already just messed up, so... Godslayer Greatsword, that's the one. Sacred Sword of the Glomide Queen, who controlled the Godskin Apostles before her defeat at the hands of Malekith, who we know is the Black Blade associated with the Rune of Death, right? And the Knight of Black Knives. The black flames wielded by the Apostles are channeled from this sword, right? So who would want to seal that away? At first, I thought that maybe the Godskin Apostle was watching over the sword. Maybe in hopes that his Glomide Queen would someday return to him. Very possible, right? But at the same time, if he was just there to keep it safe, he seems like a minimalistic fellow. He's wearing the skins of the gods, supposedly. Stretches out all weird, strange, reptilian-like features that he has. I don't think he would take the time to build those torch poles, or those pillars, right? Especially with bricks. It seems that whoever conquered the Glomide Queen and defeated her would have been the one to do that. And what better place to store away a relic of a competitor like the Glomide Queen to Queen Marika than to stuff her powerful sword in the bottom of a divine tower with no bridge leading to it. Very far away. Now, of course, they found it. But they weren't intent on wielding it. I mean, there's a chance we show up at the very moment they're there to claim it, which that would be funny, but there's nothing to really indicate that much. That I could tell. So, you can interpret it as you will. Maybe that's your favorite interpretation, is you show up and in an Indiana Jones-like style stop them from pilfering the artifact and screaming maniacally at the top of your lungs, it ought to be in a museum. Okay. So here we find ourselves at the... I need to sit down because that dragon's mad at me. Okay. We find ourselves at the Dragon Barrow Fork. And let's see where my next thing is. Okay, we're going to head to the left. And I don't like this dungeon up here. No, sir. I do like the reward that comes from it. It's very nice. In fact, the reward that I'm talking about is in a very funny place. We see some bears here, some puffins on the cliff, and they are telltale signs of things to come. There we go. So here we find a cave, naturally forming in the rock. I would use this cave in the very early days of Elden Ring before I knew what I was doing or better ways to do it. I would use Dragon Barrel Cave to trade items between characters. The good old days. And that was the good old days before people had global invasions. I just figured it was out of the way enough, a hated enough cave that people wouldn't want to be here, and I think I only got really invaded once. Now, there's better ways to do that, even back then, when there wasn't global invasions, right? And one of the better ways to do it is to beat the dungeon outright, whatever dungeon you so choose, and then summon whoever you're trading items with as a red phantom. So we have a big old rune bear here. And he's a turd. We don't like him. But we're going to get in these bushes. And we're going to wait for him to come back and face the other way. Now, this particular rune bear has an awful lot of HP. And you kind of either have to have insane damage or statuses to deal with him effectively. Just because it's such a tight area, rune bears often turn their whole body into a hitbox for hurting you. Oh, shucks. You heard me talking about him. That's what happened here. But if you continue down this cave... Oh, shucks. I'm surprised he didn't kill me. You'll see a little grove. Quite peaceable. Full of animals. Probably scared down here by the rune bear. And you find the bull goat talisman, which is one of my favorite talismans. I use it on almost every build. Reason why? Well, it gives you 33% of your poise on top of itself. So the more poise you have, the more poise you get from the talisman. And sure enough, we can boost our poise from 43... I think it's 33%. I could be wrong. Maybe it's a flat 1/3. Well, I guess that would be 33%. Ignore me. I'm dumb. But yeah, still. Gives you poise on top of itself again. Now, it's not enough to help me hit a breakpoint, so I probably won't use it yet. But maybe when I have a 4th talisman slot, I'll start fitting it on the build. Oh, the rune bear. So we do need to get past him. And it makes me feel bad that he made me chug 2 of my flasks. Wonder if I can run past him. Turn around, you big idiot. Okay, good. Horrible. So I guess if you want to hide, you want to hide deeper in the cave than I did. For when he turns around and goes by. Which should be any second now. Come on. The fans are waiting. There's this deer just taking a munch at my knapsack back there. Oh, come on. We don't have time for this. Seems like an unnaturally long time for him to wait in place. Grab the out-of-place crystal bud that you think would exist only in Liurnia. Really? I'm just gonna give it a go. What a mistake. Alright, I'm gonna go for it. I'm gonna send it. Find some crystal cave moss. And wolves. Big old wolves. Spooky wolves. I don't have... I reorganized my inventory. And as a consequence... don't have anything in my hands that I ought to. There we go. Take care of the wolves. Oh no, I need to reorganize that inventory as well. I like having my talisman set up in a very particular fashion, right? That was... I'm just eating it today. The mashing roll does nothing when the attacks come that fast. Well, at least I get my flasks back. Dying to a regular old wolf. Probably shouldn't be using the twin pickaxes, but I want to. I want to use them. We'll go quickly past the Rune Bear now that we'll have all of our flasks and everything. What a riveting episode. Maybe I'm not over my funk. Perhaps last time I was irreparably damaged by my interaction with the Black Flame monks as well as the Godskin Apostle. And knowing that I had to re-record the voice for 3 episodes, thus creating a 3-episode workload into what felt like 6 episodes. I know I do voiceovers for the PvP, right? It still feels a tad different to me. There we go. There we go. That went much better. Dang. They hit a lot more than I'd like them to. Guess we'll just hop off and deal with it. Alright. Let's get down into the hole. Which will be neat, because that'll be the boss, and I can be done with this wretched, wretched place. Funny how you have a chance to summon and even get your equipment ready. All this free damage. Oh, big ol' heavy weapon. So we have a Fair Missoula Beastman. We can see he's got an intricately carved cleaver, mask, kind of a bone showing face. Seems unintentional, right? But he's got some armor, he's got braids, and he's got these weird flowing attacks, right? Take care of him. And then over here we have the smaller Beastman, who has throwing knives and a little curved weapon. And he also is covered in golden bejewelments, medallions, things of that sort. And here we find the Flame Drake Talisman. The +2 variant, actually, which is kind of curious because I believe when we fought the first Fair Missoula Beastman, all the way back in this Groveside cave back in Limgrave, right? It also dropped the basic version of that same talisman. And so, if we remind ourselves, it is a talisman depicting a trio of red ancient dragons. The ancient dragons who ruled in the prehistoric era before the Erd Tree would protect their lord as a wall of living rock. And so, it is that the shape of the dragon has become symbolic of all manner of protections. Kind of interesting, we see a little bit of a flame effect, some red paint, presumably. It could be, I guess, a bit of rock or gem inlaid in it. Hard to say, right? And then it's got this trim, very shallow, but carved trim. Kind of looks like it's a little slab of stone, right? So, interesting that yet again there's the tie between Fair Missoula, its beastmen, and the ancient dragons. So we'll have to keep our eyes open because we're looking for them connections, those through lines, right? And let's get back to it. So we'll go back to the surface, and I think we're going to go up the fork this time. We can keep going if we so choose, but I think we're just going to handy-dandy teleport to Dragon Barrow Fork. We now have the Bull Goat Talisman, which is the whole reason to go in that cave, in my opinion. I mean, don't get me wrong. Right now, let's see. Our fire resistance is 38.5, in part because of the rain. And if we put on this talisman, it goes up to 50.8, so it's a pretty good increase. It's a bigger increase in PvE than it is in PvP, so be wary when using those types of defensive talismans. I digress. Alright. So now we can work our way up the hill. Coming up the hill, we see these boys, and they're even tankier than before, because we are in Dragon Barrow, not necessarily Caelid. Ooh. He just poked me out of the air. Feels bad. There we go. Kill more of these fellows. Mostly because I don't want them following me up to the fight that's really at the top of the hill. And if you can get them while they're growing out of the ground, that's a free hit. There's so many of them. I wanted to switch weapons and then do this. Oh, again? I'm having an off day. I need to stop being so greedy, especially against Dragon Barrow enemies where I guess I am in their level bracket. I'm just doing bad. Goodness. Happens to the best of us, but I'm not the best of us. Okay. I need to not use all my rune arcs in a single episode. That would be bad. We are going to ride past all of them because I hope they're just going to lose track of me. I hope. Okay. So if you're going behind the minor Erd tree, there is a convenient... Come on. There is a spirit spring here that you can use to get up to Fort Faroth pretty easily. And this is a part of that path I talked about earlier, where you head down from the Bestial Sanctum, grab the Grace here at Lenny's Rise, go up the spirit spring there, go behind the Erd tree, go up this spirit spring, and you can get to Fort Faroth and get that Radigan's Sore Seal relatively easily. Okay. So while we are here... I guess we'll fight the boss. I guess. If I have to. Alright. And I'll use the fire weapon. Even though it's a slow weapon. Killing my frame rate button. I thought I had a little more clearance on that. Not today. Nope. I'm gonna get hit. Alright, so if you want to deal with these suckers, you circle strafe as hard as you can. Full sprint. At least that's the easiest way I found to deal with them. More of the red stuff? I hate the red stuff. Should have cleared it more. Always be certain. I don't think I've ever fought this guy with the biggest slow weapon before. That's gonna hit me. I keep doing that. Oh good. I need this crit. And the lame old firebomb. As the gunk on the ground almost kills me. Okay. Enemy felled. And I did it without a summon, you guys. 91k. Golly, he dropped so much money. Forget how much money the things here drop. I could have summoned a friend, but I don't know. Some people say they like seeing the struggle, and so I need to decide when I ought to use Spirit Ashes. Maybe I should do it after a single failed attempt or something. Anyway, Fergal Bloom's there. Dead dragon on the peak there. And there he is. Hello. This is not my ideal weapon for this. But if I guess I break his posture, then who cares? Bestial Constitutions. Let's take a look at that now. Wrong tab. Alright, incantation taught by Grank, the beast clergyman. Fills the body with bestial vigor, alleviating buildup of frost and blood loss. Having gained intelligence, the beasts must have felt how their wildness slipped away as civilization took hold. So it's an incantation taught by Grank, the beast clergyman. It's another iteration of beast, so there must be some tie between Grank and the Faramazula beastmen, right? Fascinating that they, if you believe in or are familiar with the standard thought processes behind evolution, then generations of subsequent beastmen would have slowly gained intelligence, and it wouldn't have been noticeable, right? But having gained intelligence, and I believe we've seen another description somewhere that said they were granted this intelligence, the beasts must have felt how their wildness slipped away as civilization took hold, right? Which kind of implies that it was rather sudden, and not really a product of evolution, but a product of some greater being granting them that intelligence, heightening their senses and whatnot. So, that's a really odd phrasing there, that they would have felt it slip away. Alright, well, we want to grab the grace down here, but we'll be back. Alright, so here we are. Side lost grace. I'm gonna sit down because I want all my drinks back. In fact, I am going to put these bad boys back on. Here we are. So we have a broken imp statue. We do not get the hint. And we have the symbol of the cuckoos on the front of the wizard tower. Lene's Rise. I don't think we ever learn who Lene is. But you're supposed to take the spirit spring here and jump onto the shorter part of the building. As far as I can tell. I like to get off my mount for this slide down part because it makes me uneasy. But you slide down to the balcony. You come in here. There's nothing really worth investigating the base of the tower. And then near the top, we get the elevator. This is a place where a lot of people like to AFK farm, which is a very mean tactic where a host will get to some place basically you can't get to in multiplayer, either thanks to torrent or whatever, usually thanks to torrent. And then they'll turn on their PvP and they'll let, you know, Red Phantom show up in the world and waste their time, and every time the Red Phantom leaves they get a little bit of money, more money depending on how high your rune level is. And it's the laziest, jerkwadiest thing to do to farm money. It's not that efficient. It's griefing. That's all it is. It's griefing. And the people who do it have small brains. Unabashedly. And if you have done it before, it's okay. You can repent of your transgression and not do it again and actively advocate against it. And we will accept you into our fold. Because maybe you just wanted to see what it was like. So we're going to head back to... I should probably look at the tiers that we got. We're heading back to the minor Erdtree, though. Yeah, these bad boys. So we got the Opaline hard tier. A crystal tier formed slowly over the ages, where the Erdtree's bounty falls on the ground, can be mixed with a flask of Wondrous Physic. The resulting concoction temporarily boosts all forms of damage negation. If I recall, this one is also slightly better in PvE than it is in PvP, but still nice. A defensive tier, and it's not a one-time thing. And then the Stone Barb Crack tier. A crystal tear formed slowly over the ages, blah blah blah, can be mixed. The resulting concoction makes one's attacks more likely to break enemy stances, however the effects only last for a short time. So, I need to look up how long it says that, but it feels like if it says a short time, it's like 10-15 seconds or something, while a lot of the other concoctions will last for up to 3 minutes. Which, I mean, 3 minutes is a short time as well. Anyway, over here, past all these pots that look like Alexander's shattered remains, we find a gap. Is it the next? Or am I too far? I'm probably too far. Yeah, I'm too far. But we see a big old blue glowy thing down there, right? It's probably this gap here. Alright, so it's where the stone... The intentional stone cliff meets the natural forming stone cliff. Here we find a route that you can hop down to. I almost fell off because I'm a huge dinbus. And I hate this part. Unabashedly. But it is quite doable. You can take this path that I'm doing if you so choose. I believe there are multiple ways to do it. This one just feels the most concrete to me. If I could do this on the first try, that would be excellent. There we are. Very doable. And if we go down this gradually, we cannot wake that thing. So here we have a cliff, another pot that fell down here, or maybe he was here already. It's a part of this highway that I wish we understood where it reached. We saw some of these in Limgrave. And it's got these intricately carved floral patterns, kind of like the Divine Tower. So whatever culture made the Divine Towers probably made this ancient highway. There's the dunes. There's a battlefield. It looks like there's... Those are shadows. I thought they were bloodstains at first. Like just huge blood smears, not necessarily the ones left behind by players. And there's some of the arches, like the one that we have for the intro art. And if we come over here to this particular outcropping, we see the artist framing the picture between his fingers like that. And he gives us the rain of arrows, which I think of all the painting rewards, this one is the best by a mile. I should probably farm the great bow. Do I have a regular old great bow? I don't think I do. No. I'll get it at one point. But the regular great bow that you can get from some of the Redmane Knights, I believe, and later on the Knights of the Royal Capital. They drop the great bow, depending on which one it is. Not all knights have the same drop tables, so be careful which one you're farming. Look it up is what I'm saying. You can put that on there, and that is a fantastic Ash of War. There's a stronger version of it that's a part of a boss weapon, and that one hits in a wider area more times, but this one hits in a smaller area fewer times. So that means for if you're doing PvP single target, you might want to prefer this one, and then the boss weapon variant if you're hitting a whole team of people. So I'm going to try to slay this beastie. He is not my favorite. I fear him. I fear him a lot. We're going to do our best. We're going to do our best. And if you can continuously knock him over, you will do big damage to him. And mobility is key. And these pillars. Oh, they linger for so long. There we go. But yeah, if he does that circle thing, you gotta run for it. And I'm already getting pretty lucky, I feel it, with his moveset currently. Oh, God. Horrible. So he's doing it again. If he does those, I use the pillars. And I don't use them for long, just long enough to get them shooting, because he can smack you very easily through them. Come on. Oh no. The rock should break on the pillar? Okay, good. Oh god. I rolled that barely in time. Man, I'm not hitting these. Sideways movements are key. I'm gonna top off just in case. Pillars are really your lifesaver here. See, I've got him against the corner. He's scared. I think I'm going for the same leg every time. There we go. Get a little more damage by two-handing to the darn thing. Oh, he's doing it again. I'm so glad there's a sound cue for when all three are shooting. You hear and you can kind of pay attention to those. A lot of people consider this guy one of the meanest enemies in the game, and of course in terms of raw DPS. No, 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 this is where it could go all wrong. Alright. Come on. There we go. Took care of him. Gives you your flask back, some money. And that's it. Super underwhelming. Honestly, you don't even need to fight him. But I did it. I got the rune arc. I got the rain of arrows. And now we can go back. Oh yeah, and funny, coming down here, it seems like either this ledge or being on the backside of Lanay's Rise, you automatically discover the War Dead Catacombs that you can't get to till the very end of Caelid that we're putting off intentionally. Alright. I think we're going to head to Lanay's Rise and cut the episode there, because I think we're just over 30 minutes. But next time, we're going to finish Dragon Barrel. I feel it in my blood. We don't have a whole lot. We have 3 boss fights, kind of back to back to back. So, yeah. Yeah. We'll do that. We'll do that next time. So, stay tuned for episode 66, essentially a boss rush. Okay, not really. I have breaks in between, where I sip aggressively at Crimson Flasks for my well-being. But we'll see you next time, episode 66. Have a good one, and bye-bye.